by trade. She's the owner of Behavioral Health Counseling Services, which is an urban-based therapeutic facility.
So, and for all of you all who are providing those services to the youth, you need to give yourself a round of applause because it's so needed. It is so important that we continue to provide these services to our youth. So give yourself a round of applause. Multicultural. How many people know that we're all multicultural in one way or another? We are. Unfortunately, some of us only get a little taste of culture when we have a potluck at the job, right? Sometimes that happens. Someone brings in a different dish, and we say, oh, okay, be it. And the word evaluating. Some people think ethnocentric means that you, it's only about your culture. And it's not that at all. Being ethnocentric about your culture does not mean that you are downing or you have no respect for other cultures. So that's a misnomer regarding ethnocentric. And I'll use myself as an example. If I was a client, I could use any of these. Any of these. Okay. Can someone tell me, like the number one, the Black American? Who would most likely be that person who says, I am a Black American?
A lot of times when I have to identify as African American, I'm like, I'm closer by family to Cherokee and the rest of African, but I don't get a choice. So.
Black, Asian, other. And then when we talk about, there's people who speak Spanish, but they're not necessarily from Latin America or from Spain or from Mexico, so there's that non-Hispanic part as well.
Thank you so much for this time and space. I actually have the honor and privilege of introducing our next presenter, Dr. Amara Inya, and you guys have already greeted her as she has come in. So we are in for a treat.
Good morning. I had to make sure it was still morning. How do we feel? Good. Oh, that sounded a little bit drab. I know we've had an unusual summer. I know it's been raining more than it has not been. But we are all here in our right minds, ready to work on behalf of the communities that we serve, right?
Yes.
So how do we feel? Good. Thank you. That's a little bit better. But even young people can get burned out, and that's a reality. And even young people can sometimes forget or lose sight of why they're doing what they do. And so we have to be intentional about bringing them back to the reasons why they got involved in organizing to begin with, and making sure that you build community around that. That even if you come together for trainings, you also come together regularly with your colleagues, maybe in different organizations, so that you can all sort of get back to the reasons why we do this work. Okay, so organizing doesn't happen in a vacuum. The goal is to build power, whether it's the Alinsky model or other models. It's to build power or to build influence in the corridors of power where decisions are being made. Wow. And so we're not always just, on the streets protesting. Right. We also have to have folks who are talking with the city council member, or who are in the corridor with the mayor, or with the Department of Children and Family Services. So part of it is making sure that the ecosystem is sustainable. Meaning
so many families, they don't want to go to work because they're afraid. And we started looking, okay, you have 3 kids who want to be organized, and something happened that is not happened, but in case, we have to know how we can work with your kids. And we started doing so many new avenues to help my community. And it's really hard. It's one of the biggest problems that I bring from this past week.
The most important thing, especially in communities of color, that has been neglected by the system and discriminated and no representation. But historically, we can get in the process to get a better representation.
When people are operating from a position of ignorance, it means they don't know where they can go for information. Or fear can set in. You don't know what's happening, and so you're afraid to make moves. You're afraid to speak truth to power because you don't know what the consequences are. Or you're paralyzed because you don't know how to navigate systems or structures that are in place. So our responsibility as organizers is not to be the sort of ivory tower experts. It's to make sure that the folks that we work with have access to all of the information that we have. They might not ask you for it everything. You might not even have the time in the day to sit down and give someone the 101 primer. But the goal should always be to give them as much information as you have. The other component to that, about knowing the issues, is doing it in a way that is easily digestible. One of the things that I had seen over the last several years was in this environment where funding becomes more scarce, it created what I call the gladiator effect. And so you've got all these organizations sort of in the ring, battling it out for limited funding, because the last man or woman standing is who gets the funding. And it eroded the sense of, one, humility, and also community, because we know that communities are systems, and systems have different parts, and every part has to work optimally for that system to operate at its highest, to its highest potential. But if we have mentalities that we can only be one, there can only be one. No, there cannot only be one. In fact, there needs to be many, because systems are complex and require many different things. And so having the humility to take ourselves out of the ring, out of the center of the circle, and instead to be a part with others in that circle is what allows us to take the first step toward collaboration.
So how can this gap be bridged so that the resources that the community organizers are trying to bring into the community through the state departments can actually happen?
So internally, it's your agency's responsibility to not only read that contract and interpret it in the manner which it's written, but ensure that that information is funneled down to staff to let them know, okay, this is where we were, we're not doing that now, but this is what we're doing at this point. See, that is internal, so we haven't been doing that for 2 years. If you choose to go, that's because you can see the greater good. And I see the greater good. I don't see the obstacle because I'm always looking at the goals. Now here we are going into a new fiscal year. Funding gonna start on time. We've been funded more than we have been in the previous years. So can we make the most of this? That comes back to you.
I'm glad you're here. I've never heard of Albert Einstein. Okay, his famous quote is, an ounce of creativity is more important than a pound of intelligence. So as smart as Einstein was, he elevated creativity to the same height as intelligence. With that as the backdrop, everybody please stand. You have to understand. Everybody please stand. Okay, here's what we want you to do. We want you to get a partner, pair off in twos. And in your pairing, everybody get a partner. Look around. Who doesn't have a partner? Look around. Look around. Okay. Using your imagination, your creativity, I want you to make up the most ridiculous, outlandish, far-fetched story you can think of. A tall tale about how you just spent your lunch hour. Tell them a good story. Go. Outlandish, far-fetched story you can think of. A tall tale about how you just spent your lunch hour. I want you to top it. You got 30 seconds. purpose was to wake you up after lunch.
Yeah,
You know, the toughest hour was training day. The year 2019 is the 400-year anniversary of African Americans being in America. The first group recorded landed in Jamestown, Virginia, in 1619. And then 2019 is the 400-year anniversary. 253 of those years, there was a lot of gentrification happening in the city. And what people are doing coming in from the suburbs are renaming areas that already have names. And then renaming schools that have had that school name for a long time. Is that making sense? So here's your equation. There's a little girl that's being sexually abused by her father. How does her family take away her First Amendment rights? How do they do it? If you tell anybody what your father did, they're going to remove your father from the home, and your father pays the bills, and we will become homeless. They've taken away her first. You've been exposed to something traumatic, or you've witnessed something traumatic, and you're having these symptoms. Why do they call it post-traumatic stress? Because people don't get the symptoms when they're in battle. They get them when they come home and they're safer. People don't get the symptoms when they're in prison. They get them when they come home and they're safer. Does that make sense? Remember Columbine? Yeah. By the way, who works in the schools? Anybody here working in schools? Okay, this is what we learned. Every kid that shoots up at school tells somebody that he's going to shoot up at school. Nikki Giovanni was teaching English at the University of Virginia. Remember when they did the shootings on that campus? The one who did the shooting was a student. She went to the university president and said, listen, I'm reading his essays. He's about to shoot up the school. And they did nothing. Does anyone here ever visited a dangerous neighborhood? I bet it wasn't nearly as dangerous as my cousin's neighborhood. My cousin's neighborhood is so dangerous, the birds are scared to land on the ground. The squirrels have PTSD, the pigeons are jumpy. Anybody here from Southern Illinois? I was in Carbondale a few months ago. And I asked them, why are the deer so jumpy? Somebody whispered, because they're gun shy. You can hunt in Carbondale. Who's ever been to Tinley Park? Tinley Park. The deer will come up to you and talk. How do you know, pal? You got a few minutes? Can I have a slice of that pizza? The difference is that in Carbondale you can hunt, and in Tinley Park you can't. My cousin's neighborhood is so dangerous, it's dark out at noon. The police are scared to drive down the street. You never get relief from something about to happen at any time.
Give you a hug today, that's two.
That's two.
Okay, well, in close, I'm really grateful and glad to see everyone who came today here. It means a lot, and it stemmed from a group of people that met several months ago, and we talked about the kind of things as a whole we could do.
I should say Mr. Sanders.